Hey guys, let's talk about counseling techniques. I mean, you're in them, right? And you're working with outpatient or inpatient or couples or adolescents or addicts or whatever you're working on. You got to have techniques. Here's a tool, and you'll hear me talk and all our professors talk about these, but this is a really difficult one to do, but once you've got it, gosh, it really helps. It's really powerful. And I'm going to describe it this way. It is the simultaneous attunement and determining the intervention needed to repair. I'll say it again, that's kind of complicated. Simultaneously being able to attune to their experience and know what they're feeling at deeper levels, sometimes levels that they can't even feel at. So your attuning radar is working. At the same time, the other part of your brain is determining what do they need that's going to help with to repair their character or develop their character. You're thinking and feeling at the same time. I'll give you an example. I had a patient many years ago, and she was talking about her losses. She'd had some early childhood losses, and her mom and dad had gotten divorced. It was difficult. And then she went through a bad engagement, and that went south. And so, you know, it was kind of a tender moment because she really had some losses. And so she's kind of talking about them in sort of a matter-of-fact way, which people do, like, and then this happened. There's not a lot of affect, a lot of feelings, but I'm feeling all this stuff. And so I kind of moved in, and I was pretty empathic, and I said something like, gosh, this just sounds like so lonely or so disappointing. And when I said that, instead of her feeling comforted, she became uncomfortable. Isn't that something? She became uncomfortable with the fact that I was feeling, you know, I was getting in the well with her. And so what happened was that she became uncomfortable because she didn't want to feel what she was going to feel if we went to that deep well. There was more stuff there. And so I realized when I saw the discomfort, okay, I'm feeling the stuff for her, but at the same time, I got to pay attention to this, because she started using spiritualized language like, well, but God's in charge, you know, and God loves us all. I mean, He's going to take care of us. So, yeah, He really does, but let's get back to the feelings of that. And she did it again. Well, you know, the Lord's going to make a good thing happen. I believe the same Bible you do, but I always quote Proverbs chapter 20, verse 5. A person's heart are deep waters, and a person of understanding draws them out. And so I stayed connected to her, and I kind of made it an issue. I said, you know, Sally, I believe in a loving God, but it's hard for you to stay with your deep waters, and I want to help you with that. And then it didn't happen that session, but in a few sessions she began to stay with what she needed to be healed from. But that's the dynamic, was staying attuned to what's going on at that deep level, but at the same time knowing, okay, this is a person who's probably had bad experiences with vulnerability, so that's level one stuff, and maybe even judges herself and says that she's being a high-maintenance person or she's not being a good Christian because she's complaining, and good Christians don't complain. Level 3 stuff, the judge stuff. You've got to think about those at the same time. It makes all the difference in the world. How do you do that? How do you maintain that? Because it's some work. You take your breaks between sessions. Don't go back to back. You know, take your 10-minute break, your 15-minute bio break, walk around the parking lot break. Stay in, you know, the big 4 relationships that I believe in. Every counselor's got to have them in. You got to have a great church. You got to have a great life team. You got to have great supervision. You got to have your own counseling. Church, life team, supervision, counseling. Stay in those. They will keep you alive. We don't want you to die early or get depressed or have a bad life. We love you. We want you to live for a long time. And practice moving in deeply and not fragilizing, but move back to look at them diagnostically. In other words, go in there and don't just stay there and kind of help them feel bad, because they need to know this, that they're not by themselves. But at the same time, don't just do nothing but attune. Pull back and say, now, what can help them to strengthen them? You know, I think that you're capable of more than that. And I think here's another way you can handle that. You can confront that person, or I think you need to feel more positive about yourself. So don't just use the attunement and stay there in the well. Pull out and use the fact that now they trust you and they feel alive because you're with them to help them to change their behaviors. That's how this works. So you keep the attunement. You never give up attunement. You know, God never stops being attuned to us, but He also tells us the truth and the guidance for the next steps we have in life. That's all this is. Very helpful. And gosh, if you're going the next 3 days to your practical site, wherever you are around this big world we live in, try that out, because you will find out it really works. Okay? Have a good class.